you
Welcome.
go. Sorry about that little note there. I just fluffed the little note there.
That's fine.
Fluffed the little note.
You can fluff as much as you like. Welcome to another episode of Andertons TV, where today our special guest is the Hotone. Hot One. No one's ever clarified exactly what that's supposed to be.
No. Why is never everybody never? You said it wrong. It is.
I think it's Hotone, but they.
Yeah, but it's not Hotone because there's not two T's, is there? Exactly.
Anyway, this is the Ampero One. The Hotone, released a slightly larger format version of this last year called the Ampero. It's very, it's an affordable but high-spec multi-effects unit. So I first remember people talking about using Shark DSP chips, a few years back when that was the big differentiator when, Fractal with their Axe Effect was like Shark DSP, and it was like,
oh my God, it's a Shark in my DSP.
Now you can get that kind of DSP processing power in a unit that costs 260 quid or whatever this is.
Yeah.
It's a bit of everything. So it's a multi-effects, it's amp modeling, it's an IR loader, it's a looper, it's a drum machine.
It's got a volume pedal, this is a wah pedal, and oh my God, touchscreen, Lee.
Touchscreen, yeah. And basically the difference between its bigger brother, the Ampero, and this, the Ampero One, is really just inputs and outputs and knobs and switches. So the software is the same, but it's smaller format, so it doesn't have things like MIDI, doesn't have the XLR outputs. But basically, in terms of the sounds we're able to generate, it's the same.
Yeah.
So actually, this is kind of like a dual purpose video. If you're looking at this going, oh, I like the sound of that, but I could do with something a bit bigger with some extra switches on it and perhaps
XLR
I/O and stuff, then just look at its bigger brother called the Ampero. So one of the things that we've been forced to do early doors, and it was quite a good part of the video actually, is that criticism number one, and it's a criticism we level at many of these things, although less so nowadays, so I'm a bit disappointed with this.
Yeah.
The presets in this are just awful. Let's just play you. I mean, I've edited the second preset to be Danish Pete's tone, which is what we're using there. But let's play you the out-the-box Hello Ampero One preset tone.
When you first plug into this, this is what you sound like.
So the basic amp tone's okay, but the amount of delay and reverb on that is awful. And then we'll go through the first 10 or so patches here. I should say, there is, Hotone, if you're watching, we have got the software version 1.0, which appears to be the first software version.
There's nothing else on the website at the moment.
Maybe if you're going to do a 1.01 or whatever like that, get someone to write some better presets.
Yeah, get Michael Brin or give us a call. I'll happy to do it. I'm cheap.
So here's preset number 3.
That's all right.
That's all right.
But it's
lots of modulation. Don't know what you'd use that for.
There's always loads of effects on it,
Number 4.
It was almost like
that was almost it, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was,
anyway,
I don't know what it was. It was just that tone. Is that a wah?
Actually, you know what? I'm being a bit unfair. The presets don't sound as bad second time round, but
was that a wah on it? Was that a wah on that
I don't know. What
Go
this
back
one?
On that one?
No, volume.
I think what it is, it's swimming in effect.
It's too much, isn't it?
It's almost like covering up stuff, and it's kind of brittle in the top end and maybe a little bit too much.
So there are,
anyway,
as with all of these kind of multi-effects units, there are many different ways that you could plug this in.
Many.
We have elected to use a stereo output into the effects returns of 2 guitar amplifiers. So you're hearing it in stereo. We're miking up the cabinets here, but we're bypassing the preamps on the guitar amplifiers. You could, of course, just go old school, plug in the front end of your amplifier and keep the sound of your amp as bland, as clean as possible. or you could go into a desk or into a computer interface and just, you know, do everything. It has full cabinet simulation and everything, so it's up to you.
I have a question, because I think some of these sounds to me like they are made in headphones. So I think what's happened is that whoever's made these sounds listen in headphones, and that might sound completely different from somebody else's headphones, and that's where I think it all...
100%. Presets, manufacturers, mostly, I would say most manufacturers get the presets wrong, as in, I don't like them, we don't like them. But when you speak to them, they kind of go, it's so difficult because you've got a guitar player who has his guitar, her guitar, and then, as you say, they're either running it into some flat response studio monitors, or maybe they're running into headphones, or maybe they're running into a guitar amp, and they get sounds that they like. And clearly, they're trying, I guess, in those first 10 patches to get across the breadth of what the product can do. So presets do tend to be a bit over the top. But anyway, so look, let's get into the bit that we did like, which is the touchscreen and how easy it is to actually now edit something. So here we go, preset number 2, I've named DP Tone. So this. And that took us like 2 minutes, maybe 5 minutes to do. So I'm going to quickly show you what the screen looks like. If we go into edit mode, you get this really nice, hopefully we've got nice and close-up cam up here. You get this really nice display of a chain of effects. So you can see effects 1, effects 2, then we've got an amp, then we've got some noise reduction, then we've got a cab, some EQ, another effect, delay, reverb, and then I guess a decision about what you're going to do with this pedal over here. They're very, very straightforward to go in and edit. The chain that we picked up here was an overdrive in effects block 1, nothing in number 2, a Fender Twin for the amp with a matching cab, and then some delay and some reverb. So just that's like a classic.
Yeah, it's like a classic setup. You can take the reverb, so the overdrive can come off there if you click it, can it?
Absolutely. If you hit it, you go. So here's the overdrive, and I turn it off.
I mean, that's a really nice clean tone. That one.
So interestingly, the delay that we've got on there, the mix on the delay on here, the parameter goes from 0 to 100. And we've got the mix on delay on 5. So not 5 between 5 and 10, 5 between 0 and 100. So like essentially, and this is the problem, I think, as soon as you take the mix of the reverbs and delays past like 20 or 30% of the mix, it's like, whoa, who would want that?
Yeah, swimming. But I think that's what sounds great when it's stereo in headphones.
Maybe.
But it's, to be honest, to be fair to the little thing, it's a solid little unit, you know.
It's very small.
It feels solid.
Runs off 9 volt, so again, easy to do. Anyway, look, so let's jump into this. I'll turn that effects back on. You can see it lights up red. I press the edit button in the middle. And then you can see on here, I've got a whole, I can either use my finger to scroll up and down.
Oh, that's so cool.
Or I can use one of the menu knob. And again, this goes through all the typical effects that you might have before an amplifier. So we've got some compressions, we've got some hundreds of distortion pedals, we've got, well, not hundreds, but dozens of distortion pedals. We've got all your different modulation pedals. So loads and loads and loads of pedals in here. In fact,
I need 200.
73 different pedal options that we've got here. And I have just gone for green drive because normally that's a tube screamer kind of effect. So we've got that. And then you can see along the bottom here, we can do gain, tone and volume. And all I do is I select which one of these I want. And then I use this control to turn it up or down. So that's so super easy. Yeah. I can either go back to my block of effects, or I can use these left and right scroll things to go through the different ones. So you can see again, same idea on the amp. We've got, a whole ton of different amp models. That's how many different ones of these have we got? Heavens above. 65 different amp models, including acoustic and bass amps. So again, it's completely multi-purpose there. And again, once you select the amp you want, you can see you've got gain, master, bass, and if there's a little cursor here, you've got some more controls there. So you've got middle, treble, and bright, all dead easy to do. Gate, we turned off. Fun enough, gates on these things, again, if you load too many effects up, you get background noise. You then put the gate on to get rid of the background noise, but you've got that awful, maybe awful is the wrong word, but you've got that quite noticeable point at which the guitar comes in and point at which the guitar fades out and the gate takes over. And this isn't a criticism necessarily of Ampero One. It's just like multi-effects. It goes very unnatural. I'd rather have the noise, or just use less effects to not have noise,
or turn it down a low buttons down to 1 or 2.
Cabinets now
out of 100.
Here's an unusual one. I'm using the cabinet simulation on, even though we're using cabinets, which obviously
it's really strange.
You wouldn't normally expect to have to do that, but what it did was it added a certain fullness to the tone by turning the cabinets. In fact, I can demonstrate that. So here's no cabinet simulation.
A bit special.
You can choose what kind of microphone you mic up with. You can choose the position of the microphone.
Wow.
You've got 70 different kinds of cabinet emulations, and then places to store your own IRs in as well.
So you can load in IRs to this. There is an editor.
Yeah. You've got an EQ, a graphic EQ, again, that's tuned to either guitar or bass, or you've got parametric EQs, VEQs. Oh, goodness me.
VQs.
And we might as well add one of these in, because we haven't put one of these in. Let's put a modulation effect in afterwards. So here's a chorus.
We spent a bit of time with it. It sounds great, man.
Loads of different delays, loads of different reverbs. So I think you get the general idea there that this is because of the touch screen, and I guess this is one of the unique features on here that I'm not convinced there's anything else with a touch screen until you get up into some of the head rush stuff that's
head rush, the little one,
2 or 3 times the price of this. So, and they've done it really, without going crazy.
Is it reactive on when you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think most touch screens, you get the odd one where you touch it and it doesn't do anything and you have to touch it again, but that's pretty normal. That was that. And as I said, I saved it and I gave it a name and we called it DP Tone. It's fine. Dead easy. From the front panel, you've got some over. I think it's making an assumption of what might you want to edit without going anywhere. So I've got amp gain, delay mix. In fact, I've got amp gain twice here. I wonder if there's a way of, presumably I can adjust that to tell me what, so have different options here. Then we did things like, again, I was messing around with the global setting, hitting the foot switches, deciding what I wanted the foot switches to do. That was all pretty simple. So I've now got this so that on this particular setting, I've got these two will go up and down through the patches, and then the purple switch here, which I didn't make purple, by the way, it just knew that it was DP's tone. That just turns the delay on and off.
But can you then add the other ones? Could they be, for instance, like overdrive and whatever? So you have 3. That's good. That's cool.
The only thing I've not managed to work out, and apologies again, perhaps there is a way, but it doesn't appear that you can make the foot switch assignments unique to the patch. So in other words, you might have to set this up so that this is always the one that's going to turn the distortion on and off. This is always the one that's going to turn the chorus, whatever it might be.
Okay.
One of the things that this does feel will be a useful accessory, and I believe is coming out this month, is it's only 20 quid as well. There is an extra 2-button controller for it. Yeah. So you could buy that, have that again just to the left or the right of the pedal or whatever, and then essentially assign 5 different switches, which would open some. Then what's quite nice about that, you could have your patch up and down plus 3 effect on and off foot switches. Drums we already talked about. So drums, there is a pretty
basic.
I wasn't going to say basic.
No.
I was going to say atrocious, but that's probably a bit unfair. It's a drum machine that is like from 10 years ago drum machine sound. It's not like, you know, it probably doesn't help that we're running through guitar cabinets rather than through PA speakers.
Even then, I don't think it would make much difference, but it's fine. I mean,
so you get your, I mean, here we go. Let's get you a sound, Pete. Well, I mean, we were using I can't remember what it was called now, but there's 100 different odd drum sounds in here, and you find one. So let's go R&B. People pay a lot of money for those, you know, 808 style clap
those
sounds.
80s sounds. It's not. Listen, it's not too bad because you know you have some of the loopers with the drum machines in it. Like it's a little Moore thing. Yeah, and it's a similar thing. You know, what do you expect for that amount of money?
So you got loads of drum sounds. You can adjust the tempo, the volume, and there's a sync control. I'm not sure what it syncs to, but there we are.
What is it syncing about, Lee?
I'm not sure. Then. Right, what we did do where we were having some fun at the beginning, then we've got the looper. And the looper's super cool because you can have drums as part of the looper. Yeah. And you can even, there's a sync thing, so you can even sync the drum track to your loop. But you saw us do that at the beginning, so that's just a question of, again, choosing a drum patch, setting the tempo, hit and record. It's the same as all loopers, so you're recording on the one, you're stopping on the one, you've got overdubs, etc., etc. So that was loads of fun. And I certainly think is a big selling point of this. You know, again, I think you've got to break this down a little bit and go, if you were to buy a standalone looper, you burn through 80 to 100 pounds. Yeah. If you were to buy a standalone guitar tuner, you burn through anything from 30 to 50 pounds or whatever it is like that. If you were to buy, I mean, I don't know what you'd buy with drum sounds. Well,
then you're looking at
a more expensive looper.
You're looking at something like this for 200 and whatever this is. You know,
and then you keep adding this up, and then you go, well, what about some like a distortion pedals and chorus pedals and reverb pedals and stuff? And next thing you know, you've done £1,000 easy. Or here it all is in one thing. We're going to go live and we're going to do a loop. So we're going to have a quick in the room vote. There's not many of us. There's only 3 of us in the room here. So what do we? Do we want jazz?
No,
we don't want jazz. Do we want fusion?
No.
Do we want classic funk? Classic funk. Okay, let's have a listen to this. I cannot think of a single classic funk tune that uses
It needs to be a bit quicker, but there's not much feel in it, I must admit.
Yeah. Should we just go quicker then? Okay. So now we're
Can you take my delay off, please?
Is that a delay off?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Now we're going into the looper. And we are, why is half speed selected? That must have been a button I pressed by mistake before. I can set the volume level of the loop, I can set the volume that it's going to record at, etc., etc. It's quite well featured, this as a looper. This button is play and record and play. This button is stop and delete. So much like normal
Does it give me a counting?
It doesn't give you a count-in. You just have to start the drums manually by pressing drums. Are you ready, Funkmeister General?
I'll try it, yes.
Okay.
I had a deja vu just then, a deja vu.
Deja vu?
Completely deja vusen. And it was just so vivid in my mind that I was trying to jam on some funk with you next to me. I don't know why.
Wow. Well, look, so there you go. I mean, I suppose ultimately there are tons and tons of presets more that we could go through, but I think you've got the general idea.
Yeah.
It's cool. You know what? I mean, I'm going to give it a solid score in the sense of I think the way it functions is super simple. It's one of the easiest ones I've used.
Yeah.
It's once you get through the basic presets and start changing your own stuff around, I'm pretty happy with some of the tones we've got. It's got loads and loads of stuff in there.
Price.
It's not the cheapest, but I think it's
6 out of 10.
No, more than that. I mean, I'm trying to think what does.
I didn't touch it, so
it sits in a funny price bracket. Really, it's it's dearer than. There's a lot of stuff, for 100 to 150 quid that has a similar array of stuff in it, but this like levels up because it's a better quality processor. The touch screen is cool. The IR load is kind of cool. Yeah, I mean, I think for me, this is basically going, look, it's probably on a par with something like Pod Go in terms of the types of sounds that you can get out of it.
Yeah,
it's a little bit smaller. It's a little bit more affordable. So I think that's probably the person it's going to appeal to, really. It's just, that type of,
It's good.
I have a funny feeling also as well, and I don't know who the best channel is to look at this, but I've got a funny feeling that the rock and metal community have really done some killer demos of this. I think some of the gain sounds we've not really touched on, but are pretty authentic. So if I've whet your appetite, then go and look for some other Ampero One videos or Ampero videos and see what you think. But there we are.
Ampero or Ampero.
Au revoir.
See you later.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Bye.